If you have been wondering how people are achieving that beautiful snatched waist look with the latest trending Iro and Buba, then this tutorial is exactly what you need. In today's video, I'll show you step by step how to cut and sew this elegant belted Iro and Buba from start to finish. You will learn how to achieve a flattering waistline without compromising the classic beauty and comfort of the outfit. Whether you are a beginner or an experienced fashion designer looking to add another trendy style to your collection, this tutorial will guide you through every stage of the process. So grab your fabric, your sewing tools, and let's create something beautiful together. Do not forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my new sewing tutorials. To be able to cut and sew this Iro and Buba for any adult, the basic measurement that you need to measure on the person are the Buba length, the shoulder. The shoulder in this case, it will definitely be wider than the normal fitted blouse or any fitted outfit shoulder. The shoulder in this case would tilt towards the sleeve length. Then another thing you need is the armhole and the round sleeve. This Iro and Buba is so versatile in the sense that lately people wear it they wear the inner as a padded inner, an inner with bustier, sometimes an inner with corset, and at the same time you can also wear a free inner inside. But since this Iro and Buba, since this Buba is a fitted Buba, a lot of people prefer to wear it with a fitted inner, which is an inner that has breast pad, which I'll be uploading a sewing tutorial on how to cut and sew the inner for a Buba like this in my next tutorial. I'll be spilling a lot of secrets behind you achieving a fitted Iro and Buba like this, so make sure you don't skip any part so that you don't miss any parts that you're not supposed to miss. So the first thing I did was to cut out the Buba. Now the thing is, for the length, you just have to use the whole length of your fabric, especially when you're working on lace. So for the length, I just folded my fabric into two. One is the front, the other one is the back, and I used the length like that. Then for the shoulder, after measuring the person's shoulder from the center of the back neckline towards the sleeve length, then you are going to be multiplying whatever you have measured by 2. From the center of the back neckline towards the sleeve length for the shoulder, you are going to be multiplying it by 2 for the right and the left shoulder. So when you are done doing this, you will measure it out on your fabric. While your fabric is on fold of 2 like this, you'll be measuring that shoulder that you have measured from one side of the sleeve length to the center back neckline to the other side of the sleeve length. After this, you cut it out straight from the whole of your fabric and fold into 2 the way I just did. So this is fold of 4 now, 2 for the front and 2 for the back. Don't forget, there's not supposed to be joining on the shoulder line. The next, you are going to be measuring the neck width and the neck depth. So for the neck width, because I wanted this to be a bit wide neck because it's for a plus size person, I used neck width of 4.5, which is 9, 4.5 on fold. And then for the neck depth, I used neck depth of 1 at the back. Then at the front, I used neck depth of 8. This neck width and neck depth depends on how you want it, who you are cutting for. Is the person chubby, is she slim? It's all these things that will determine the measurements you use for your neck width and neck depth. So since they are both round neck, front and back, the first I did was to cut out the front and back neckline together, and I followed the back neckline, which is the smallest, which is 1. So after cutting out neck length of 1, neck depth of 1, I folded my Buba like this. Then you are going to pick one side as the front. This is the part where if there is a particular pattern on your fabric that you want to be at the center front, you just have to be mindful of it and make sure that that part falls on the front. Then remember I said the neck depth for my front is 8, and I already cut out 1. So I just proceeded to measuring 7, and I cut out 7 more for the front neck depth. Then I put a notch on the shoulder, and I put a notch on the shoulder on the neckline and also on the shoulder. You see the importance of the notch as time goes by. So after cutting the body of the Buba, the next is to cut the sleeve. And for this sleeve, what you'll be putting into consideration is the armhole. So this person's armhole is 20, and I added 2 inches to make it 22. I'll be using 1 inch to join the sleeve on both sides. That makes it 2 inches. So what I did was to measure while my fabric is on fold of 2 like this. That means I'm cutting for the 2 sleeves at the same time. So I measured the 22 and then I folded it into tutu like this. The next is the sleeve length. If you have a fabric that has edge like this, to pick out the length perfectly, you just have to consider the longer part of the edge. You have to start your one from the longer part of the edge, not from the shorter part of the edge. So our sleeve length is 9. I added just 1 inch allowance, and I proceeded to cutting it out from the whole of my fabric. If at this point you are still here, do not forget to subscribe. So I notched the middle of the sleeve. You will see the importance of the notch as time goes by. One of the secrets that I said I'll be spilling in this tutorial is regarding the wrapper. Ideally, an ideal woman wrapper is supposed to be wide, but for this particular Iro and Buba, people used to make sure that the wrapper, which is the Iro, is not as wide as it used to be, like as it's supposed to be. So if you've been using like 2 yards and maybe 10 inches or 2.5 yards for a wrapper, you just have to reduce it with like between 5 to 10 inches. So the wrapper would not completely go back to the back of the person when she's wearing it. So the wrapper has to be a bit smaller than the normal usual wrapper measurement, like from 5 inches to 10 inches. So ideally, I used to use 2 yards and 10 inches for my wrapper for an adult, especially an adult that is chubby. But for this particular wrapper, I used just 2 yards and 5 inches. And from these 2 yards and 5 inches, there's still allowance that I'll be using to fold the edge of the wrapper on both sides there. So now, this is what it will look like when I start sewing it. I'm still going to show you every process of sewing on the sewing machine. We are going to the sewing machine together. So right now on the sewing machine, the first thing I did was to pipe the neckline of my buba. You remember that notch I put on the neckline to identify the shoulder part of the neckline? You saw that when I start piping, I will start my piping from the shoulder, not from front or from back, so that reverse we used to do when we are stitching, that double stitch, that reverse we used to do when you want to start and end a stitch, will not be visible at the front or at the back. It will just be on the shoulder line. Another secret to my own signature buba neckline is I love to pipe my buba neckline with net tulle, not with bias, that it will be very thick and obvious. So I used to use nets to pipe all my buba neckline. It used to come out so flawless. It will almost be as if there is nothing on the neckline. So after piping the neckline, the next is to shape the sleeve. So I've shaped this my sleeve with the 1 inch allowance that I added, and I notch the upper part of the sleeve. You remember the shoulder part. So you remember that notch that is on the shoulder line of the buba, it has to align with the notch on the shoulder line of the sleeve. So you align these two notches together and stitch from that notch to one side, to the armhole side. You are not going to cross it over to the other side. You will stop, bring it out from your machine and flip your buba to the other side and start from that your first place that you've stitched, which is the shoulder, to the other side of the armhole. I hope my explanation is clear. So when you are done doing this, you're not going to face the right side of your buba together, right side facing right side, and then you will stitch from that armhole where your sleeve has stopped. Make sure you are not, your sewing machine is not climbing the sleeve. So you will stitch from immediately where the sleeve stops to like 3 to 4 inches to the whole length of your buba, so that you can create the side slit that is always at the side of the buba. The side slits 3 to 4 inches is okay for it. So that was what I did on this side, and then I did it on the other side. Another secret to this signature fitted waistline buba is the belt. The buba itself always has a belt, not even the wrapper, the buba itself. So for the buba belt, just cut a belt that is 4 inches wide, and the length has to be at least 20 inches. Cut that in 2 places. One will be for the right side of the buba, the other one will be for the left side of it. And then you are going to be turning the belt, and you will stitch it inside the buba just shortly before the slits. You put it immediately before the slits on the sides of the buba. Another secret is always best and finer if your wrapper, which is the Iro, will have belt. So for this belt, I just cut a belt that is 60 inches long, and I shared it into 2 for the both sides. That means 30 inches for each side, and depending on the shape you want for your belt, whether you want a pencil mouth belt or a 4 corner, just turn it to whatever shape that you want. Then you give it a good press and stitch it at the edge of your wrapper, the upper part of it, after you must have folded the edge of the wrapper. For the edge of this wrapper, I folded it big with like 1.5 to 2 inches so that it will be big. This kind of wrapper is always fine if you folded the edge big. So I folded mine with like 1.5 or 2 inches, and then I proceeded to stitching the belt on top of it neatly. And that is it on how to cut and sew this very beautiful snatched waistline Iro and Buba. If you have any question, don't forget to ask me down in the comment section. If you are still here and you've not subscribed, do not forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that YouTube will notify you when next I upload a new tutorial on this channel, because on this channel I do upload sewing tutorials every day on daily basis. Another thing is, have you watched any of these tutorials that are currently showing on your screen? If you've not, you should watch either of them. Just click on the box, it takes you directly to the tutorials. They are also amazing sewing tutorials, even more amazing than this one that you just watched. Help me share my tutorial as much as possible. You don't know who might find it helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.